But the main position, I think that you're starting to see Kirby Smart put an emphasis on is the offensive line. I think you're seeing the offensive line recruiting ramping up in this 2026 class, and I think you look at what is the expression? The first step, not on the expression. I think this Alcoholics Anonymous thing. But isn't the first step is admitting that you have a problem, right? I believe that's how it goes. And I think Georgia recruiting, offensive line recruiting, has taken a step back. I mean, it's to be expected. You had Sam Pittman, the best in the game, goes on to be a head coach. Matt Luke, a former head coach in the SEC, coaching your offensive line after that. And I know a lot of Georgia fans like to disrespect Stacy Searles. I'm sure that guy is doing a hell of a job. I'm not here to call for Searles' job in any way. But I think you've seen Georgia's offensive line room take a step back. Part of it is just how elite that offensive recruiting was for a few years there. And that's not to say like that's why Georgia wasn't good in 2024. Like there's no excuse for how highly ranked these guys are. How many blue chip prospects you have on that offensive line for them to perform as poorly as they did in 2024. There were some injuries at times. It was hard to keep that same five, that cohesive group on the field for the entire season. But you just in terms of like landing that big time 5-star, like an Andrew Thomas, a Jamari Sawyer, a Broderick Jones, a Marius Mims, Isaiah Wilson, like just some of these just, certified, just prototype NFL offensive linemen. And you haven't gotten as many of those, I think, in recent classes. And I think it's starting to show. I think this was the worst run game in Kirby Smart's tenure as a Georgia head coach. And so one thing you'll notice about Kirby Smart is that he is very intentional. Like when he prioritizes a position, you're almost guaranteed to see results. Like it's kind of crazy how many times it's happened. But like, I mean, the first thing this guy said when he took over was that Georgia did not have a national championship level lines of scrimmage. And what do? They go out and immediately get some of those guys I just named, like an Andrew Thomas. But they immediately upgraded those positions where he declared that there was a problem. And so, a couple years ago, we have to be more explosive on offense. Hires Todd Monken. And then I think this offseason, you have to improve the wide receiver room. And then Georgia goes out and gets 2 big-time transfers, as well as 2 big-time freshmen in this 2025 class. So when Kirby Smart addresses a position of like that something is a need, then I think you see results, like I said. And right now it appears that he's addressing the offensive line position. Just visited the number 1 recruit in the country in the 2026 class, Jackson Cantwell out of Missouri, offensive tackle. And according to Rusty Mansell of Dawgs HQ, like 3 of the first players that Kirby visited as soon as that open period started were offensive linemen. And this 2026, I know Emmanuel Iheanacho is also the number 2 player in this class that Georgia's really after out of the state of Maryland. So unfortunately, it's not as loaded in the state of Georgia like it is some years. Georgia's going to have to go national, but this team is obviously recruited nationally for several years now. But yeah, there's like 15, 20 offensive linemen ranked in that top 100 or so group. Only 2 of those are committed in the 2026 class. So there's 8 interior offensive linemen that are all uncommitted to this point. So, it's tough in this NIL age to get players out of the state of Missouri. That's for sure. Missouri has found a way to keep those guys at home in recent years when they've had the opportunity for a big time 5-star. But yeah, it would be to see Kirby Smart and Georgia prioritizing this offensive line room. I think that tells you all you need to know. And I think we're going to see results in this 2026 class.